Haneseo, Chanan Shaifare Imnida, and that's all the Korean I'm going to speak today. So first of all, thank you very much for having me today, and thank you for listening for me. Because I'm the last person before the coffee break, I will try to make it interesting and short, so I won't stand in your way. Today I'm going to give you a fast introduction about Israel economy, the connection with Korea, and then I'm going to speak about Israel fintech industry, and especially about the cybersecurity, which is our strong point. And in the end, I have 2 minutes just to give you tips and things we can cooperate together. First of all, my presentation is in Korean, so I didn't know there were going to have so many English-speaking people here. But if you need, I can send you later in English. I don't know how many of you have been to Israel or heard about Israel. Israel is a very small country, but it's very growing. And I always say Israel and Korea are very similar, but also very different. We both started in the same year. Actually, our independence in Korea are very close nearby. And we both started as agriculture countries and moved on to be a high-tech powerhouse. And because Israel and Korea, both of us, our strength point is innovation and people. The thing is, Israel is more focused on software, and it doesn't have any production base, and Korea has a very strong production base. Like I mentioned, our strong point in Israel is innovation and R&D. These are just a few statistics that shows the number of engineers per capita and VC. I give you 2 numbers that are not here. In average, we have about 1,000 new startups in Israel. I'm talking only technology startup. And their success rate is more than 52%. So 52% continue to the second year. So if you think about it, every year you come to Israel, you will meet new industries. Also, we have the highest number of VCs per capita. So today, starting a startup in Israel is really easy. There is a lot of financial opportunities. Today, we're more focusing on smart money, and I will explain later what it means. As I mentioned, like Korea, we started as an agriculture economy. Our product was oranges. But today, we have a very diverse economy. And we have startups in all of these areas you can see here. Also, agriculture technologies, life science, medical device, water. But our strong point is ICT, and that's the connection for Fintech. A few words about Israel Fintech. I don't know if you can see it. We don't have a big financial industry. A lot of people think, oh, Israel is a big financial sector. No, we don't have. We have 5 banks, which are only local. We don't have we don't have big foreign banks activities. We have 1 stock exchange market. By the way, most of the Israeli companies are listed in NASDAQ. They're not listed in Israel because they look global, and the Israeli market is not global in the financial. So if I compare to other lectures that were here, our strong point is not the connection to the financial industry, but the connection to the technologies. And in the end, we see that the fintech industry in Israel was founded by the leak or the movement from other industries. People that had their first, second startup in other industries, especially communication, now moving to fintech, because in the end, the solution that you can implement in the industry can also be implemented to banks. As you can see, also our fintech industry is very diverse. Last year, we counted more than 300 startups in the field of fintech. Each year, it changes a lot. But we see a lot of anti-fraud, banking, insurance. Also, we see a lot of customer engagement, how banks can better work with their customer. And you can see ad tech is also a part of fintech. I can give you one example of a company called Sayota. It's an interesting company because our former minister was the CEO. He was the CEO of this company. They were sold to RSA, and then he moved to the government. And what they're doing straight communication between banks, because what they found out that if a bank in the morning in Korea has been attacked, most chances is the same attacker, and the same attack will be implemented later in Europe when they start their working day and go on. And the idea that they connected a network between banks, just give an alarm. Listen, I was attacked by this. Take a notice. It will happen to you in a few hours. And that's the basis of it. I won't go over all the companies, but if you have any question, I can answer later. Okay, so I'm going to speak today with you about Israel's cybersecurity and the connection to financial, and I'm going to look at the government aspect of it, and also how we can work together. I think I will stand here. So a few articles I read in the newspaper about the latest activities in cybersecurity, and I think the lectures that was before me also talked about it, so I don't need to get into deep. But as you can see, there is different attacks on Korea, but also on, I saw one on Turkey, Israel also very attacked all the time. Of course, there is a famous attack that was $81 million was stole from the Bank of Bangladesh by the SWIFT, which is, I think, is shocking for the entire financial institute. So we know about the need, and the question is, what is the solution? So in Israel, we saw the solution as a more building an ecosystem together. So we saw the government as the pillar in the middle, and then our job is to help make better connection between the industry, the academy, the defense forces, and also between international cooperations. Our story of cybersecurity starts actually from the 80s, but I started here from 1997. What we did, when the government decided that the internet is a big thing and has a big effect about the government activity, we built Tehillah. Tehillah is a name in Hebrew, I won't explain now. But the idea is to build a firewall that protects the whole government. We started to connect our government into the internet, and we said we need protection. So we built this as a central unit that protects the entire government system. Since then, we evolved, and we made different kind of programs. And lately, we had established the National Cybersecurity Authority. And the idea is that it's great to protect your assets, but you have to think different. You have to think about the next step. Okay, I'm protecting it now from what I know, but how can I protect it in the future? What is going to be the cybersecurity industry in the future? How can I promote innovation and companies? And the idea of the National Cybersecurity Authority is to promote that. It's like a long-term thinking. We don't force anything, but we try to promote. And the idea is, like I showed before, is the cooperation. So like I started saying, Tehillah was founded in 1997. That was 1 year before Google. And it actually protects all the government assets. So if any one of you, and you're welcome to send me an email, it first screens it, check everything is okay, and then let it in. That's the basic samples. Of course, they're doing many, many more things. But the idea is that they had a lot of experience in new technologies that have been implemented over the years. And also the most powerful thing they have is people. Because in the end, and I will say a few things, the most powerful thing in every cybersecurity company is the people, is the engineers, is the ideas behind it. And they have accumulated a lot of knowledge and know-how over the years, not only by technology, but also systems and techniques of work. What we have today is our national program, and the idea is to help cybersecurity not only in the industry and the company, but even in the early stage. So we have education program, I don't know if this works, education program that we started teaching kids cybersecurity. Once you go to you're 13, 14, you can go to cybersecurity camps. And we teach that as a class in school, and then of course after that in university, we support R&D in a university. By the way, once a year we have a competition between all the schools in Israel. It's called the Israel Hacking yearly event. And we take young kids, depends on the years, and we give them a challenge to hack things. Because the idea is to learn cybersecurity from the beginning. Then we also have programs to support R&D in industry, and also international cooperation R&D. And now we are also building a cyberspark. Cyberspark is going to be a hub for Israel cybersecurity. It's been done in the Negev, in the south of Israel. And the idea is to bring the best people from the army, from the academia, from the international companies, and create a hub. We've done that in other sectors, and it was very successful. So now we're doing that in cybersecurity. And if anyone of you want to come visit Israel, you can tour and see the place. Okay, I'll take the time now to speak a little bit about the industry in Israel and how the government is working on that. So today, as I mentioned, we have about 300 startups in the field of cybersecurity. But we have a few more mature companies, some of you probably know. Just a few statistics. So Israel was ranked number one in cybersecurity by IMD report. They say about 10% of the global cybersecurity is in Israel, and there is about 15% of the global investment are done in Israel. And the figure I like the most is 1 out of 6 computers in the world is protected by an Israeli software solution. The most famous example is a firewall by the company called Checkpoint. Checkpoint is did the commercialized firewall, and today it's one of the most known brands, and it protects all of Fortune 500 companies. But how did we get to that stage? How did we get to the stage where we have so many startups and so much technologies in cybersecurity? So I will show you a few programs and explain. One of them is our National Incubator Program. This program has been running for the past 30 years, so we have a lot of experience. And then you can see here, it's also very successful because on every dollar the government spent, she earned back between $5 to $6. So our ROI as a government is really good in this program. By the way, there is in Korea a similar program called the TIPS, which is based on the same model. And the idea here is that we don't have garages like in the US, so you cannot go into your dad's garage and open a startup. So the government gave them a place. Now, it's not a physical place, it's more like a mentoring place. And the government gives your startup 85% funding, and the rest of the funding, the 15%, you get from the private sector by the company that operates this incubator. The government are not involved in the management or nothing. We just give the money. We don't know, government doesn't know how to manage. They know how to give money. So we give the money for this innovation. The private company that gives the 15%, they help you with the management, the mentoring, and so on. We have a lot of success stories about this, and you can see today that GVP is doing in cybersecurity, the Time is doing in ICT and communication, and I have examples of other companies, and most of them are international. Today we try that each incubator has an international partner in it because we believe that is smart money. We want someone that can also give you international experience and go global from the first day. By the way, this is a government program. We also have a lot of private companies that are doing it. Citibank, for example, opened a Fintech R&D center in Israel. It doesn't get any funding from the government, but it's the same idea. Also, all of the Israeli banks have this kind of programs, and they all try to promote startup in fintech and security, because the idea is they want to have first access to this technology. That's their benefit. Another program, it's international cooperation. We have 51 programs like this with all around the world. I will speak about the program we have with Korea. And the idea is, like I mentioned, is that we don't want our startups to get funding. We want them to have international cooperation. Because if you're an investor from the day first is an international company, it gives you a great advantage in learning the product and knowing what's going to be good and global. In Korea, we have Koril, which is Korea-Israel R&D Foundation. The idea is that every company, every Korean company, if there is any here in the audience, can do a joint R&D project with an Israeli company and get up to $1 million from the government. So my ministry gives $1 million to the Israeli company. Motier, from the Korean side, gives $1 million to the Korean company. They work together up to 2 years, and in the end, they're going to develop a shared IP. This is open to all the sectors, also cybersecurity and others. So if there is any company that is interested, I recommend to go to this program. There is a few success stories of new products that were developed by Israel and Korea together. As I mentioned before, the strong thing we see in every company, especially in startups, is people, is the knowledge and their know-how. And what we saw, a lot of people ask me, so, okay, who is opening these startups in Israel? So this is the answer. And we see that most of the people, 25%, and if you are former military people, but we also we can add the 18 and the 12 to it, and you can see that most of the market is done by people that got experience elsewhere before opening their own business in security. In Israel, we are defense forces. Everyone has to go to the army for 3 years. A lot of people don't go to infantry as you think about it. They go to the technical units, intelligence, Air Force, and so on. And they get training, huge training, a lot of experience that you cannot get anywhere else. If you think about it, you're 18 years old. You're just out of high school. The army sends you to university. They also give you a great job, great responsibility, and you get exposure to the latest technologies. You serve 5, 6 years, depends which unit. You go out with a lot of know-how, and what they do, they open their own cybersecurity companies. And the idea is that today, if you go and look at an Israeli startup, you think, oh, it's only in the market for 2 years. Yes, but if you look at the people behind it, they've been doing it since they were 18 years old with the latest technologies and huge responsibilities. And I think that's also something that can be implemented in other places in the world, is to take your experience from all of your life and then put it into your company and it give you a success. So how we measure our activity and how we measure the Israeli cybersecurity industry, well, we can see this is one of our indicators to see if we're doing a good job. We see that the market is very active, a lot of M&A activities going on. As you can see, a lot of Israeli startups in the field of security have been purchased by international companies. And it's just a few examples. There is more than I just could put here. And we see that because of this, all of this M&A activity, today we have in Israel about 300 international R&D centers. These centers, what they do is only develop. They don't do sales and don't do marketing. They only do R&D, and they're the biggest contributor to the Israeli R&D sector. There is a few Korean names, like Samsung that you can see, but also other Americans, companies, European, and we see more and more companies coming from Asia now. And they found good opportunities in Israel. They invested in an Israeli startup, and they decided to keep it there and use the existing ecosystem and the government support in order to establish their own R&D. And we see this is a mark for success for us. I just want to finish 2 more slides. This is a company that have activities in R&D centers in Israel, and quotes about what they say, because in the end I can speak here as a government officer, but it's better to believe them. And we saw in recent years that eBay and PayPal opened their cybersecurity activity in Israel and opened R&D centers because they saw the potential, and now they're thinking how they can use it and take it into the fintech industry. That thing is here in the economic mission. We're here to help you. So if any Korean company is interested in doing cooperation, joint R&D, knowledge sharing within Israeli companies, you're welcome to approach us, and we'll be happy to do the connection and give you more information about Israel. We also have, in the end of the year, our international conference about cybersecurity. So you're all welcome to come, and if you need more information, feel free to contact me. Okay, thank you very much. Kamsahamnida. And if you have any questions, you can ask me later on.
Any questions from the floor, please? Yes, sir.
You mentioned that the return on investment, the $1 investment, and the 5 or 6, so that's a huge return on investment ratio. Now, if it's any other part of the country around the world, that the ROI is significantly lower. So is Fuchupa, in a startup nation, is Fuchupa responsible for this huge return on investment, or what kind of mindset is responsible for this kind of a very good ROI number?
So first of all, how we everyone, what is your ROI and how we calculate it. So I will tell you how we as the government see. We see that in every dollar we invested in this program, the company themselves were able to raise $6 on the government money. And then in the end, after they did the release, we received the money back with interest. So we didn't get the $6, we got just the investment we put with a little bit of interest. The reason why is that, I gave you a few explanations why is that. Because we see that a lot of Israeli companies, especially the ones that are graduate from our technical incubator, have been purchased or IPO'd. And the average is about 2 to 3 years. There is different answers about why is it happening. I'd be happy if you want, I can explain you more. But we see the idea that the international companies see the potential, the good technologies, and the experienced people, and that's what they're looking for in new startups. I hope I was able to answer that. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, 알았습니다.